In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to permanently raise your energy, how to permanently raise your vibrational frequency. So if you've tried doing this work and you can't seem to stay in that higher energetic state, it's because a lot of these shortcuts and techniques and tricks, they're just temporary. They're not a long-term solution. Therefore, you always slide back to this lower state. What I want to do here is I want to share with you the permanent solution to keep your energy in a good place most of the time. A lot of the inspiration I got for the video came from a book called Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. So if you want to know more about this, go ahead and check that book out. Great book. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, we can say that there's two modes of being for a human. One is ego, which is not a real mode of being, it's an artificial mode of being, but this is how most people are living. And then there's the true self, which is the only true mode of being. However, a lot of people are cut off from their true self, so are living more from their ego, which is force. And just as force sounds difficult, life from your ego is difficult. It's always going to feel like you're forcing things to happen. You're always pushing uphill. Everything's a struggle. A lot of the motivation also comes from negative states. So you might be fueled by fear. Maybe you're afraid you're not good enough, so you have to go out and prove people wrong. Or maybe you're fueled by resentment and you want to get your own back on other people, or anger. And if these are the fuels, the emotions that are fueling you, then it's very difficult to break out of that. Because these negative emotions are from a lower state of consciousness, you, for the most part, will stay stuck living from your ego, which is a very miserable way to live. Unfortunately, this is the current human condition. However, more and more people are waking up and starting to live from their true self, which is, as you can see, power. Power means you're living more from higher states of consciousness, more positive emotion. Someone who is living from power experiences more courage, more confidence, more belief, love, joy. They want to improve their life in order to contribute, in order to give back, not to prove people wrong or try to prove something to other people or to themselves. It's more about giving. Okay, and when you live from that place, you start to be a happier person. It's like you're more in alignment with God. You're more in alignment with these higher energetic levels. That means the universe is on your side. Everything you do, God, the universe, is supporting you, is working with you. Versus this one who feels like they are literally against the world, they're fighting against everything. This person feels like the universe is supporting them. God is helping them. Okay, so it's fundamentally important that you get here. Now, the next question you might have is, well, why am I here? Why am I not here? Probably because you got wounded. Your true self got wounded at some point during your lifetime and it went into hiding. And to compensate for that, you developed a false self, a false ego that you thought you needed to be because you forgot who you really were. So I want to share with you 3 techniques that you can begin to implement to start to make this a permanent state of being. First one is healing. So like I've just talked about there, you are an ego, you're a false self because your true self got wounded. If your true self got wounded, that means your true self needs to be healed. And there's 2 important aspects of healing that will help you the most. The first part is inner child healing. This doesn't mean you become a child again. What it means is that there's an innocence in you when you were a child. That spark was your true essence. But as you got wounded and you got socialized and you got conditioned by the world, you lost touch with that innocence. But that innocence is raw power. There's a lot of creativity and empowerment in that. And so by doing inner child healing, you start to get back in tune with that innocence and with that power. Okay? And that's what you need to integrate into your adult self. So like I said, you're not becoming a child again, you're not becoming immature, you integrate it, okay? And it becomes a very powerful part of who you are. The second part of the healing work I would suggest is do a lot of trauma healing work. So this goes into the realm of the nervous system. So your nervous system is like the foundation of your being. When you've had trauma, a lot of negative conditioning, our nervous systems get dysregulated. That means they do not function optimally. When we have a dysregulated nervous system, we're usually in survival mode. We're in fight or flight. This is ego mode, fight or flight. I'm scared. I've got to fight for everything. And when you're in survival mode and your nervous system is dysregulated, you cannot connect to your true essence. You cannot be connected to your spiritual self, okay? But by healing your nervous system, by calming it down, by getting it out of a survival state, that allows your true self to come online, to feel good in your body, and you start to connect more deeply with yourself. So that leads me on to the second practice you need to do, and that is to develop healthy boundaries. Now, this person who's living from ego probably doesn't have very healthy boundaries. To have healthy boundaries means you know what to allow in and what not to allow in. If you have healthy boundaries, you will allow good stuff in and not allow the bad stuff. However, we live in a world now where there's so much external influence. And most of us have lost ourselves because we're so externally influenced, we lose the sense of ourselves. If the world is telling everybody that they've got to have a six-pack, and you think you must have a six-pack, there's nothing wrong with having a six-pack, but you might lose an inherent part of you because you have bought into the external narrative. Okay? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a six-pack. What I'm saying is you've got to find your own truth. Okay? And too much external influence makes you lose touch with it. But by having healthy boundaries, you can allow certain things in and dismiss other things. And this also goes into relationships. So if you have relationships with unhealthy people, you are probably letting in unhealthy energy, unhealthy emotions, unhealthy opinions, which are affecting how you feel about yourself. So I'm going to make another video about boundaries because it's so important. But with healthy boundaries, you can have some discernment, and that'll help you cultivate your true self. Without healthy boundaries, you don't know who you are, okay? Because you just think you're all the messages that the world is constantly giving you. So you need these healthy boundaries. And the third and final practice I suggest you do is just simple meditation. Meditate for at least 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes is nothing, everybody can do it. Close your eyes, go silent for 10 minutes and just pay attention to yourself. It's going to be difficult because a lot of thoughts are going to come up, a lot of feelings are going to come up. If you've never done this before, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the quieter your mind gets, the more you start to come in deeper connection with your true self. And when you combine the meditation with the healing, with the boundaries, you're going to really become a very powerful person, okay? And you're really going to know and understand what it means to live from your true self, to live from a place of power where the universe is supporting you, the universe is behind you, and your emotional levels are higher because that's what you're in alignment with now, higher levels of consciousness. Because the more you connect to yourself, the higher levels of consciousness you experience. And the higher levels of consciousness you experience, the more in tune you are with the universe and with God. So that is everything I've got to talk about here. I hope this helps some of you out. If you did enjoy the video, if you could please go ahead, give a like, share, subscribe. But until next time, God bless.